I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back, and we're live for another edition of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, saying this for about the 7,000th time in 15 years. I'm joined by Urs Aceto and our special guest today, the king himself, King Kamali. What's up?
What's up?
Hey.
King is filling in for Xavier.
No, King, no one can fill in for the king.
No one can fill in for the king. Get that straight, Mr. Technician.
I know.
I am not the guru.
Oh, don't get me started. Do not.
Are you in the movie? Are you in the Guru movie?
No.
He was not asked to be in the guru movie, Chris.
You know what? I'm sorry, that's incredible, but I still think Guru Wars is much better.
Mm-hmm.
That was produced by Dave Palumbo.
Palumbo, that I will, at sometime in 2024, make him laugh so hard that he bursts a testicle. But good things come to those who wait, so we'll wait.
Are you? You're not going to the? Are you going to the New York Pro?
I might be going because I haven't been in a long time. The only reason why I would go is because I know your day is going to be there. And it'll be fun to get on the and just absolutely destroy people.
Yeah, you'll be there. Chris will be there. It'll be like old times. We'll all be there in person, so it'll be great.
Take care of business.
Yeah. Plus, you live right there. How can you not go to New York Pro? You live right there.
Forth now, man. I go back and forth from Annapolis to Virginia to back to New York.
Oh, you are? I didn't know that.
Down the East Coast.
Oh. Why is that you're all of a sudden traveling back and forth?
Let's see. Business opportunity came. An offer I couldn't refuse.
I got you.
But not the offer. So
money is money.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like King's mic is cutting out every once in a while?
I don't think so. What's the peanut gallery say?
Oh, let me see. Any you guys have any problems? Nope, no one's complaining. All right, let's get to our first story. I saw that what's his name? Wesley Vissers was guest posing this past weekend for the first time, I guess, since his Arnold victory. And let's pull that up. I wanted to get your opinion on Wesley. How do you think he's looking, Chris? Hold on, let me pull it. There it is.
I think he's a great. I think he's great. Period.
King, do you think that Wesley could challenge Chris Bumstead for the title?
Bring up quad sweeps a little bit and don't be cocky. You know, a lot of the times these guys win the Arnold Classic, they think that they're going to go there and do this and do that and blah, blah, blah. No, what he needs to do is he needs to concentrate 1,000% on bringing up some body parts and bring the same goddamn conditioning and make sure the stage presence, because that's where Bumstead gets small. He gets up there and says, wow, that looks like the champion. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah. I think he's got it. This guy has probably made the most improvements of any pro that's in that classic division, I think, from the inception. Because when he first turned pro, he had a nice structure, but he didn't have a lot of muscle, Do you think his waist has gotten bigger, King?
You know what? It's a structural thing with him. How much wider can he get? How much more caps can he put on his shoulders? I think what's missing, what's going to be the detail that's going to make the difference, will be some quad sweeps. Can he do it? I don't know.
I think your mic. People are complaining too. Your mic is cutting in and out. I would do something to either reboot the mic or plug it in and out.
On me right now. You want me to turn off the fan? Could that?
I don't know. So it sounds like there's something we're losing words that you're saying. So I don't want to. Your words are very important.
I don't know. Aceto, do you hear me?
I can hear
This
you.
guy hears you and I hear it. That's all that
I
matters.
agree. I agree with you. So you must be saying something right.
Whoever's complaining, tell him to go fuck off. Get a better.
Oh, I hear it. No, I hear it. I hear it. He said, "Turn the fan off." Maybe it's the fan as it's coming. Turn the fan. I know you're sweating all the time, but you're gonna have to like suffer a little bit.
God damn it, Palumbo. Is that better?
They said the Iranian government has hacked your mic. Is that possible?
Tell him to suck my Iranian balls. How's that sound?
All right. All right. The reason I brought up Wesley, he does look good. I think this is a good look for him. But Urs has gone on the record now, and he said, Urs Kalecinski has said that he is the man who will beat Chris Bumstead. I want to get your opinion on that, and then I will post what's his name's opinion, Ruff Diesel's opinion on that. But this was what he says. At the 2024 Olympia, I'm the guy. I'm going to prove it at the end of the year. Chris, you agree with that?
I think people talk too much. I think people talk too much, and it's the problem with social media. They're just, we'll see. That's my answer. We'll see. Is he going to beat Chris Bumstead? Is that the question?
Yeah, he's saying he's going to be the guy to do it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that Urs is not a good bodybuilder. He's a good bodybuilder. Is he going to beat Chris Bumstead? No.
Will he beat Wesley Vissers? That's the question.
He'll have a lot of trouble.
Now, Ruff Diesel said something very controversial. I'm going to pull it up. He said, bold talk from a guy that just lost to the 7th place finisher at last year's Olympia, but who knows? Now, obviously, the 7th place finisher he's talking about is Wesley Vissers, So is Ruff Diesel basically saying that Urs doesn't have a prayer?
Well, Ruff Diesel is, a great bodybuilder. He's as good in his own way as, if not better than Urs.
Right. However, Urs has beaten him before, yeah.
Well, oil.
What's that?
He's oil. How many times have I seen Ruff Diesel and he looks like he's got no oil with his skin, which is that Orville Burkish skin tone that he has. He needs to be oiled up. Ruff, if you're
you know what? It's so funny because I can't remember a lot of the the shows and this and that, but I thought at last year's Olympia? What place did Ruff get last year?
Yeah, Palumbo. That's.
Anyways, it was last year or the year before. The oil and prejudging killed him.
You think he didn't have enough, or he had too much? King says he doesn't have enough when he competes.
Not enough. It was one of the.
You agree? You agree?
Fantastic.
Now, is it a factor because his skin is so dark, King, that he needs more oil to get the reflection?
Do what you need to do. Stop copying other people. Don't listen to the people backstage no. You need to look at. We're looking outside. We're the ones that are looking outside. We've been doing this for the longest. We're all experts. We're telling you right now, all of us, put some oil on, man. It will make you look 1,000 times better on stage.
Right. I think that you have a point because his skin is very, very dark. And when your skin is that dark, people don't realize the light doesn't reflect off of it as much. And the oil, it kind of creates the reflection that will bring out his detail more. And you're right, Orville Burke had that problem too. I remember I used to see him competing in New York at the local shows when I was up and coming in. He never had enough oil on either.
Well, it's not that the oil reflects; it illuminates what is actually there. So if you don't, if you got a lot of detail like Ruff Diesel, and you're under the right light, if you have a lot of detail and you're not under the right light, and you're a guy with a lot of detail, it works against you because you're standing next to someone who might not have the detail, same light, but they look quote as detailed as you. That's why guys say and it's true sometimes. I was standing backstage next to him, and he looked like soft as a marshmallow. I mean, it might be an exaggeration, but the light has to be right. And so if you have two guys, one guy with super detail, which Ruff has, against someone with less detail, and you don't have enough oil, it doesn't illuminate, what is actually there. And you end up looking, not as good as you expect because you can't see the detail. And Ruff Diesel, it's all about detail and lines and flow and shape. You know what I mean? He's total illusion, because if you do see him backstage, he looks tiny.
Yeah.
And when you see him on stage, you say, like, I mean, other than height, you don't say, like, he's not big enough. You know, granted, he's not as wide, like a Chris Bumstead, who's tall, wide, this, that, and thick, all of those things. But, you know, he has enough size to beat lots of people. So everything counts. And I agree with King is, you know, tanning people, it's like making cookies. Okay, King, perfect. Your tan's great. Okay, Dave, tan's great. Next one, Chris, your tan's great. Wesley, tan's great. It's the same. They put it on the same for everyone. And yet they say, I'm the expert. So you have to do, like King said, what's best for you.
Correct.
And, you know, it could be you if your skin's that dark or that dark and dry, you might have to be swimming in oil backstage to make it look on stage the right look, you know, to complement your physique.
That makes sense. Totally makes sense. I want to just, before we go on, first of all, happy Cinco de Mayo, guys. And yesterday
You can't say that anymore, Dave.
Yesterday was May the 4th be with you, which I really wanted to say because, you know, I'm a Star Wars fan, but
well, that was what Guru Wars, Dave. Guru Wars was the introductory, was the
all right.
Greeks had a celebration for something. I got a bunch of DMs from Greek guys.
I didn't know that. Well, I want to send out a get well soon. Do you guys know Ryan Kennelly, the bench monster?
No.
I met Ryan he's in the hospital, so he needs our prayers. I met Ryan in 2003. I was at a guest posing in Hawaii.
I knew of Ryan.
And the promoter, Keith Jones, who's no longer with us, was a big powerlifting fan. So Ryan was 19. He had just bench pressed 900 pounds and set the bench press world record or something like that. And Ryan and I spent the whole weekend together, and we were like, you know, he was asking me a million questions because he was kind of just getting into the sport. And the guy is just, he's a monster. The guy is just so strong. It's unbelievable, you know, and I think he holds the world bench press record, or it's close to it. They keep trading back and forth. You know, it's over 1,000 pounds now, the bench press world record. And I think Ryan went in for like a simple procedure but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't really know that much details about it. And something, you know, silly happened, and now he's in the hospital. So he needs our prayers. So I really like the guy a lot. I love him, and I want to send out prayers to him. Hopefully you guys can send your prayers out to Ryan and get a quick recovery. All right. The other thing I wanted to bring up is Samson Dauda. Did you hear Samson has been out at Oxygen Gym in Kuwait? What do you think that means? Is he joining the Camel crew?
Chris, you got to talk about this, man. You're the one.
We're all so quiet. What's going on? I want to hear some controversy. He doesn't have a coach yet, as far as we know. I mean, his wife said she was going to coach him, but what do you think,
Dave? When they start jumping from coach to coach to coach, it happens all the time. Somebody gets to the top, and they feel like there's something else that somebody else knows. Look, we've gone through this. We've seen this 100 times. Get your formula and stick to it. I think Lila Brada needs to sit down and explain to everybody what consistency means and what it is. The same Groundhog Day, same thing. If it works for you, that's your formula. There's slight little changes here as far as stress levels, your life, kids, your life, but basically the general formula for each individual is the same once they figure it out. Jumping from one to one does nothing but damage.
Yeah. From what Bader has told us, I don't think that Samson is committed or anything like that to join the Camel crew. I think he was out there visiting, but it seems a little suspicious to me that he would go all the way to Kuwait to check it out. But you never know. What do you think, Chris?
I think that I don't really know what to think. I would say, because I don't know the right information. I just know that what I thought but I guess is not accurate, is that Samson had a tremendous 2-year run under the tutelage of Milos.
Yeah.
So, but apparently that was just not true. So if it was true, I'd stick with, you know, what works.
So you think? No, you talked to Milos. What was the Milos's input on that? According to Xavier Wills, he says that Samson hasn't been a coach hopper at all, though, which he really hasn't, as far as we know.
You know, it's strange to make such a big improvement in 2 years and say, you know what, I bought this stock for 10, it's 1,000. I think I can go somewhere else. And you know, in stocks, when it's going up, you let it run.
Right.
What's called you let it run is you don't worry about that it's coming down and going up. It's gone up so much. Obviously, it's working. You just let it run. You don't even think about it. And if you have a good streak where your body's running, you know what I mean? You're improving like leaps and bounds. You let it run. No matter whether the coach is Milos, the coach is Samson's wife, the coach is Samson's wife with Milos, you just let it run.
You keep the team going, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but I understand, the desire though to, knock it out of the park. But that's where people get, you can run into issues. You can run into like, oh, geez, that formula that worked for 2 years actually was the best formula. So we're going to find out, right? So the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Samson's either going to get better or he's going to stay the same. If he gets better, we're going to say, that was a good move that he made. And if he stays the same, we'll say, maybe, he should have stuck with what works.
What do you think, King?
Hey, I can't say it any better.
Yeah. It's funny because Samson has definitely made some insane improvements. Whether he was listening to 100% of what Milos said or 50%, something worked, right? And he put on a lot of size. And obviously Milos was there with him. I'm sure Milos has at least from my understanding, I think Milos was left with a bad taste the way the coaching relationship ended. He did it with dignity, but at the same time, guys in the pro ranks, and King, this tend to blame the coach when things go wrong, or maybe not the way they wanted it to go. And unfortunately, it's not always the coach's fault. Sometimes it's just the fault of the athlete, So I don't know, but it's interesting that it seems like he's shopping around. That's the impression. I don't think he's committed to like the oxygen, but I'm sure Bader put the bait out there, no pun intended, to get him to come over there and make him an offer.
He's on a date. He's on a date. They're on the first date.
No, he's being, it's like, how when you're going to get a college scholarship for like football, they invite you to all the schools and you go there and you see which one you like and they schmooze you a little bit and then they, then they get you over there. So I think Bader put out the invitation and Samson showed up.
It's a date. Beta brought him over. Don't worry about it. Just come over. Just see it. Just see it. It's all it's the guy who says to the girl, just let's go out for lunch. Just friends. But he's interested in something else, and so is Beta.
Right. Well, it's a good move for Beta, to get him over there. It wouldn't be the worst thing. I mean, he would have everything paid for over there, and he has free access to everything he needs, and so that's not necessarily a bad deal for him. I'm sure he would bring his wife. And do they have kids, King?
I don't know.
I don't think so, right? Yeah, so they have no children. This really shouldn't be a problem. It might not be a bad move on his part, but I guess we'll have to see what happens. Speaking of Milos, Milos had a big run-in with Patrick Tuor on the Dennis James podcast, the Menace podcast, and I guess it started last week with Milos, mentioning that he had coached Patrick before and sent him some protocols, and Patrick pulled the old Donald Trump. Donald Trump claims he doesn't know RFK Jr. is, which is pretty funny. But he said he didn't know who Milos was, or really didn't know that much about, that he didn't coach him. And Milos Milos has got the memory of an elephant. He doesn't forget anything. The guy's got more. He knows more detail about every single show he's ever been to, every person he's ever coached. I would never, if I had to put someone on the witness stand to recall details from 25 years ago, Milos would be the guy I'd pick. I mean, that's how good his memory is.
That is correct.
Milos was kind of, insulted that Patrick was saying that he didn't help him at all. And I guess Dennis got Patrick back on the show for the beginning of the show this past week to confront him about it. And Patrick is still in denial. I mean, I guess Patrick said that Milos did send him some protocols, but he didn't use them. And that's why he said he didn't coach him. But Milos has recalled exact details about the coaching and that how he was responding to the carb up. And I don't know. What do you make of it, King? You watched the video.
Yes, the faxes, for God's sakes. This is back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Before text messages. Chris is like, where's the text message? I said, it's 90s. No text messages.
Listen, this is how meticulous Milos is. Milos has all the text messages. He has all the I've seen Milos's file at his house. Okay.
Your microphone really sucks, King. I'm telling you, it's not good.
I don't know what else to do, man. I'm
all right. You might have to plug it in and unplug it and unplug it back in again. But all right, just tell us about Milos's files.
It's just the Milos's files is absolutely insane and meticulous, and everything is there 100%. So there's no way that this guy is going to beat Milos when it comes to facts and the evidence. Number one. Number two, I'll take a little bit of credit on this. I've been telling Milos for the past 15 years to stop being so nice. To the point where he laughs his ass, and he's like, King, we have to love King. King, there must be love in the world. I'm like, fuck love, man. I'm telling you, you're too fucking nice. You can't let people do these things to you. You got to back, and you got to be a little bit more assertive. Milos is pissed off. He's extremely pissed off right now. Number one. Number two, he wanted me to say this. I'm going to respond in a way like I'm Milos speaking. This is coming from the horse's mouth, which I talked to just before I got live with you, Dave.
Okay.
Milos, if Patrick opens his mouth one more time, he will fucking destroy him. That's what he said.
Oh, really? So it's gotten to the point where Milos is pissed off now.
Yeah, I'm repeating exactly what I asked Milos. I said, Milos, is there anything you want me to convey on Dave's show? He goes, yeah. Say this guy crosses the line with me one more time, I'll fucking crucify him.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's mad, obviously, and I'm telling you, Milos was giving details. I watched their exchange, and Milos was giving a lot of details where I can't imagine he made it up. He was giving him, and then Patrick tried to say, well, you didn't give me a diet. How could you be coaching me? And Milos said, of course I gave you a diet. You can't get an insulin protocol without a diet because you have to know how many carbs to eat. So Milos really kind of countered every argument that Patrick, said. And Patrick, if you notice, Patrick didn't really have any emotional response to what Milos was saying. He was very even, which I found interesting. Usually when people, are, trying to defend themselves because they're right about something, they'll get their emotional level will raise up. He didn't even change the whole time, which to me, that was a little suspicious. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all know Milos. We all know the protocols that he follows. We all know that Milos is 100% straight up. He's not the kind of guy that's going to exaggerate things. And like you said, Dave, he has records of he's like the fucking whatchamacallit. Like the FBI fucking files on people and shit like that. So, yeah, so I don't know what this guy's trying to, what's the point of doing this? You explain to me. What is the point of denying that somebody helped you? Who cares?
I think he doesn't want to give Milos any credit for the coaching that he does with his guys now, which is kind of stupid if you think about it.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.
No. Chris, what's your take on that?
Well, Dave, I don't know. Will respond the same way as I just think that what do I think? I think probably don't
sugarcoat it. Don't sugarcoat it.
Milos coached him, and out of insecurity, a bizarre sense of insecurity that Patrick Tuor wants to implied that all his ideas are uniquely his own and created out of his own mind and being from day one, which, you know, Dave, I coach people who, I've coached people who became coaches, who coach people who beat guys who I'm coaching.
Yeah, I'm sure I did the same thing.
So the point is, you know, it's like kindergarten is what it is. How's that?
Yeah, you want to? Should we listen in on this?
No, I don't. You sent it to me. It's just God.
Let's listen to this.
Listen to it because it's just annoying.
Yeah.
You can play it. Go ahead, play it.
And you must be mistaken with somebody else.
No, guarantee, Patrick, it was you.
Are you usually someone who forgets?
No, not really. No.
You remember me coaching you for the show?
No.
For sure, 100%. I coached Patrick.
Maybe Patrick.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre because then on the next week's show that he said, yeah, you sent me some protocols, but you didn't coach me. And I don't know why anyone, like, look, you know, right after it happens.
Depends
maybe,
what Dave. Depends what the definition of coach is to some people. You know, you can go on and on with the minutia.
Well, he said he got the protocols from Milos, but he never used them. So Milos said, oh, so that's your excuse. So he changed the whole thing. The whole thing is very suspicious. You know, I give credit to anyone who's ever helped me because you know what? That's how I got to this place.
Yeah,
I know, King, you do that with Chad. I know, Chris, you do it with Bob Grushkin. So there's always people that are going to be our mentors and our teachers. It doesn't mean that you can't be a great person because there was someone before you. It just means you took their knowledge. I'm sure people listen to all the information I put on RxMuscle and they take that and they probably use it for their coaching. And that to me is an honor. That's not, I wouldn't like try to deny.
Dave, you have to learn it from somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't just like the only one. That's why you have to learn it from someone, and then you have to learn it by making mistakes. It is simple as that. So nobody in this sport who coaches someone just woke up one morning and said, "I'm going to be the coach." Give myself all credit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know everything. You know, you learn. And frankly, I tell people all the time, you know, I'm still learning.
Right.
That's the key. Thank you very much, Chris, for saying that. Because that is when you know you have a good coach, when you're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I know everything. Actually, I just wanted to get that pat on the back.
No, but seriously though, but that is exactly.
You call me up and ask me questions. He learned stuff from me, science wise. I learned things from, you know, other people that I'm listening to online and shit. So you're always learning.
That makes you a better coach.
And you know what? The other part of that is, you know, for coaches listening, I always say, you know, not only should you always still be trying to learn, but don't think that what you did with King Kamali 2 years ago is going to work this show. You know what I mean? So you have to be flexible in what you even do, because past performance has nothing necessarily to do with the future results. Bodies change. You know, you got different starting points. You know, bodies get resistant. People get tired in their prep. King,
I interviewed someone, Chris, this past week. It'll probably be up this week. It was a PhD guy who's got a practice on natural medicine. And we were talking about cholesterol, because that's a big thing now, right? Everyone's worried about the LDL cholesterol. Do I have too much of it? Am I going to have a heart attack? You know, and so this guy explained to me that I didn't know this, that if your triglycerides are normal, okay, then the high LDL cholesterol is not a bad thing necessarily. You don't have to be panicking that you're going to get coronary artery disease. It's when the triglycerides are high and all the other stuff is high that the problem is, or when your HDL is very low. So, and that's something I didn't know. You know, I've always treated or helped guys to try to bring their LDL down, not realizing that, and I was never a person to suggest statins, because I know statins have bad side effects, but I was worried about people that had high LDL. But now the new research out of Japan shows that if your triglycerides are normal, you don't have to worry about the LDLs. And you know, that's something that a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know that. So for me to say, "Oh, I know everything about heart disease," I'm an idiot if I would close my mind off like that. So I don't know why Patrick just wouldn't give credit to Milos. They say, you know what? I don't necessarily use your insulin techniques now because I don't believe in it, but you did give me some really good information that I somehow used some of it, and the stuff that then I learned more stuff, and now I have my own protocols. Thank you, Milos. That would have been the end of it, right?
Yeah.
I think Milos would have been happy with that if he would have said that, but he tried to like almost like make it seem like he didn't even know who Milos was back then, which is ludicrous because he did, obviously, So, can you hear us, King?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, you sound much better, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, much better. So, what's the take-home message? Do you think that Milos are going to be and Patrick were going to be friends? Or do you think that's the end of the friendship? End of the friendship, yeah. Now, didn't you tell me that Dennis Wolf had a big blowout with Patrick Tuor?
Yeah.
At some point?
Yeah.
What
I don't know the details. I just know that they had like it was too much. They had on muscular development a big like public spat, which again, for God's sakes, holy smokes, right? If you're gonna have a spat, everything in bodybuilding is aired out in the public. You know what I mean? Everything is aired out. Whether it's just so dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Chris, don't you think that social media, once again, we're talking about social media again, created all this?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm telling you, it literally has fucked up on so many things. I learned from Palumbo, I learned to eat cheeseburgers, and that's what I learned from Dave Palumbo. I learned to eat cheap meals. From Chad Nichols, I learned to suffer. 2 hours of cardio, absolute torture. And from Amin, I learned you got to deplete your body. You got to deplete your diet. I picked up things from everybody. And you know what? It's a badge of honor. It's general strength to have. Then I'm like, hey, I learned all these. And then you get these dickheads who come on the internet and they think like they know what they're doing. They are absolutely clueless. Just like you two, I'm sure you guys have had to fix other people's problems more than anything else.
Yeah. No, 100%. But like I said, I learn something every day. I try to always pick up some new information. I'm always reading. I'm always trying to refine my protocols and make them better. And like I'm never and I give credit like where credit's due. When I pick up something from someone else, like about when I learned about macadamia nut oil, or if I, just learned about the right form of minerals that you should use, chelated versus the salt minerals. Ron Norman gave me that information. I give credit to everyone who's brought me information because that's what's important. Now, next week or this coming weekend, I should say, is the Jim Manion NPC Pittsburgh and IFBB Pro Pittsburgh Championships. Even more important than that is the superstar guest posing we see there every year. Now, King, this is kind of like a preview to the Olympia. I understand Martin Fitzwater is joining this crew of people that are going to be there. Hunter Labrada, Samson Dauda, Big Ramy, Derek Lunsford, Nick Walker, Andrew Jack. I don't think Bumstead's posing, but he's going to be there. What do you think of this lineup? And who do you think would? Obviously, Nick Walker is going to be. I don't even see him. Yeah, there. Nick Walker will be looking the best probably because he's got a show the week after, as well as Martin Fitzwater. So, do you think that's going to be the most impressive, or the most impressive guys going to be like Lunsford and Big Ramy?
I'm looking for Ramy. I want to see Ramy. I want to see Andrew. I mean, look, they're going to be. He's going to be odd one. So he's rebounding. He's going to look like a mutant. But I'm curious to see. Is Hottie coming or no?
I don't think so. No. He's lucky he got the visa for the Arnold. I don't think we're going to be able to get him out here again.
So Hottie, reset yourself, Dave. He looks a little downside. So it would have been interesting. It would have been.
Well, I think Hottie's already proved himself at the Arnold with the two Arnold victories, and I think that kind of put him in a really good place. But I think a lot of people I'm curious about Big Ramy. I know Hunter Labrada is looking massive. Obviously, Sampson is always impressive in the offseason because he's so big and round. Andrew, Chris sent me pictures. He looks like a big freak too. So I think this is going to be one of the most impressive, superstar guest posings we've seen at the Pittsburgh in a long time, because of the fact that Nick Walker is going to be in his best probably, and probably will make everyone else look soft, I imagine.
Yeah, but this is Pittsburgh has nothing to do with that. It has to do with who has the potential to step up to the mic. I don't think Derek Lunsford can get bigger. That's my opinion. I don't think he can get. I think he did Nasser transformation, and we all know what that is. Nasser went from in 1 year he did that huge transformation.
Right. Under Milos' tutelage, right, Chris?
They don't anymore. So
wasn't that under Milos' tutelage? Did he gain 40 pounds in a month? Something like that?
Yeah, he did Milos would be proud of me because he did the Houston Pro. Milos would be so happy that I remembered the show. The Houston Pro, NASA showed up and that was it. There was a new NASA on the block.
Yeah.
we all remember that. I remember yesterday.
When he showed up at Night of Champions that 1 year.
David, was the Houston where he went. Houston may have been one of his best looks.
Was Houston after that Night of Champions, though?
Yeah. Because he had the crazy midsection still then and the crazy abs. People forget he had crazy abs for
a big guy. It's the Egyptian. All those Egyptian bodybuilders have the good abs.
Yeah. And the Iranians, right, King?
Yeah, but you know that.
Sid is chiming in. Urs will be there as well. Maybe Urs can pose down against Chris Bumstead on stage.
The
Miracle Bear.
Yeah, Urs. If Urs is listening, man, you need to take it easy, brother.
Yeah. Did he? I wonder if he took any time off after the Arnold. He looks huge here. You think it's a mistake, being so young, King, that he's competing so many times, or is this the time to do it? I
mean, look, he's young. His body can take it. His metabolism is still there and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, listen, take advantage while you can, because one in a billion. You're not going to get Dexter came along and get whatever, but you do have to take advantage. But there is a serious thing when it comes to doing this over and over again. I mean, that's the problem. These guys are staying in contest shape all year round. That's Dave. That is not smart.
Yeah.
Off season.
Why is it not smart, King, in your opinion?
Because you're burning your adrenal glands out. Because you can't. Your body needs rest. Your body needs to relax. I myself gotten to the point where I realize even right now when I try to. The beast inside me keeps coming out, but I go and I'm like, wait a second, why does my wrist hurt? My wrist.
But King, you're old like me, so that's why everything hurts.
What the hell is this lump right here? Okay,
that's just called being old. Let me ask you, there's some speculation that Urs is going to do the Open at some point. Do you think that will happen, Chris? He's young.
Yeah, he's young. He'd have to. It's a hard call because you don't know how much someone is restricting their growth trying to stay into a class.
Right.
And the example is, of course, the best example is Derek Lunsford.
Right.
Like
Lewis, for that matter.
I tell the story, King, all the time. When Kamal won the 18 Olympia, Lunsford was posting pictures, and he looked just beyond. It looked like these have to be Adobe pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody called me, and they Ron Partlow called me, and he said, "Did you see these pictures of Lunsford?" And I said, "Yeah, he looks crazy." And I said, "What's his weight?" And whatever his weight was, I said, "Oh, good." I said, "Come on, we'll beat him." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because by the time he comes down, he's not going to look like those pictures." In other words, a lot of people do restrict their real growth, trying to make a weight or be into a, shoehorned into a class. So I don't know, how much Urs has to, how much real growth he's restricting, trying to be a classic bodybuilder. You know what I mean? So if he wanted just to be, big and eat and grow and take time off, maybe he is restricting his growth. So you don't know.
Could he be another Wolf? Does he have a structure like Wolf?
No, Wolf is wider.
Yeah.
You're confusing the thigh sweep. He's got the thigh sweep. You know what I mean? He's got great thigh sweep, but Wolf at that age was wider, and you know what I mean, just a bigger guy.
What do you think, Kamali? How will he look if he puts on 25, 30 pounds?
It's going to throw off. He'll throw everything off.
You think he'll throw everything off? You might be right.
It's just not. It's not. I wouldn't go that route. A lot of people just seems to want to go that route, and it's not the once you establish yourself in certain divisions. That
right. I think he can go to the Open. I think he has the frame. I think that he would look good. I think he'd look better, bigger. I don't think that he can beat Bumstead in Classic. And I don't think he can beat Dino in Classic. And he didn't beat Wesley at his best. So maybe putting on that extra size, because he is young, might be the right move for him at this point. And move up to the Open. There's more glamour, there's more glory there, there's more money there. I mean, he has the time. And like you said, King, it might serve him well to just give his body a rest and just grow for a year or two and then come back in 26 or something like that and wow everyone,
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's a calculated risk, obviously, but at his age, what has he got? Can he go wrong at that point?
How old is he?
I think he's like 26 or 27, right? Sid, why do you keep putting up Wesley? We're talking about Urs. I think he's like 26 years old, and I think he can do it. I talked to him when I interviewed him a bunch of years ago about that because Marcus Rule, was helping him, and he was suggesting that he eventually will go to the Open class. So it'll be interesting to see. I think he's got a lot of muscle. He's out angling Jay there, Chris.
Yeah, Jay's done. He lets everyone out angle him.
What's up with the Jay Victor Martinez thing? Is that still happening?
What was supposed to happen with that? Tell me.
They're supposed to have some pose down or something at the Olympia.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that like a joke? No?
I don't know. Knowing Jay, he'd probably be up for that. And Victor. Victor looks big.
Victor's huge. I wouldn't want to pose down next to Victor.
Victor's gigantic. Okay, when's the last time you saw Victor in real life?
I saw Arnold. He was huge at the Arnold. I told him, I said, you're enormous. He's like, yeah, man. I said, you compete? I don't know,
Yeah.
Victor. He's
not a girl.
He's so laid back, Victor. He's great.
He's the only bodybuilder. He's the only professional or amateur bodybuilder who used to pull his trunk down on stage.
Why? Why he wouldn't he? Why would they ride up? Or he?
It looks cool, bro.
It's an April Fool's joke that they were doing on everyone.
Speaking of controversy, Victor accused me on Generation Iron of giving him shit before that he lost his what we call it.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Yeah, Victor did accuse you of costing him a victory, right? You failed the drug test because he said.
Yeah, he blamed it on me.
Because you gave him a diuretic. Is that true? Tell us that story.
I had to confirm the story because there was somebody in that room with me. My best friend G Money from Florida.
You needed Milos there. He would have remembered all the details.
Yeah, no. I have no problem being honest. I remember going to his room and he didn't look good.
What show was this for? Do you remember the show?
I looked at his coach, Victor, who was sitting on the couch. Victor Munoz. Is that his name?
Munoz, yeah.
And I said, what are you carving him up with? And he said, his answer, I don't remember what his answer was, but it was something ridiculous. So I'm like, he's flat. He needs to do X, Y, and Z. And then we ordered some, from room service, some jelly, some honey. And they bring it up because he needed simple service. He needed something really fast. So then I'm like, Victor, you have nothing to lose. If I were you, I would do X and Z. And he said, all right, bro, I'll keep it in mind. I didn't give him anything. I just suggested he should. Oh,
I heard you handed him a diuretic, and that's what he said.
I would be the first person to tell you if I did.
You didn't slip Victor or Mickey?
No. Listen, I love Victor. We all love Victor. He's one of the best of all time.
Were they drug test? Were they diuretic testing back then?
Arnold, they did, yeah.
Oh, well, you would have known the real diuretic to give him, right? Everyone was using Demodex because they weren't testing for that, right?
Yeah, but I didn't have Demodex, man. I was.
No, I didn't say you had it. I'm saying back then. See, what people don't realize is there was a time where they were doing diuretic testing, and they gave out a list of all the diuretics that they were testing for, but they made a mistake. They left off some diuretics on the test.
Right.
So smart people like me and Chad and we found out what was missing from the list, and we would just use those for the athletes. And
for my pro debut at the Ironman, we did exactly that. You know, all is I had a special FedEx delivery papers with powder and stuff. My instructions were to take one of those and then take it. And I'm like, all right. Only thing from that show is I couldn't breathe. That's the only thing I remember from Diuretic.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lasix. It's very strong, you know.
Yeah, say that. Please say that again one more time. I couldn't breathe, man.
Yeah, it's very strong. You know, it's funny, but I know Jay failed the diuretic test once, and he's the only person I know who actually challenged the failure. And he right? Didn't he get a lawyer, Chris?
Yeah, got a lawyer.
And he said, I guess the way they handled the urine samples, there was no like chain of command. It was like a fiasco. They were just like laying around in a box, you know, or something like that. You know, you can't do that, you know.
Yeah, but I think Jay's argument was, because I remember speaking to D'Amelio about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jay's argument was everybody else was taking it. Why did I get popped? That's what he.
Well, if there's no chain of command of the urine samples, then it's possible that Jay's could have been sabotaged. And once there's that level of speculation or uncertainty, you can't charge it. You can't definitively say that he was his sample. You know,
that sounds very OJ-ish to me, man.
Jay's smart, man. He's a businessman. That was a lot of money. Meanwhile, Nasser, to the day he died, was complaining about how much money he lost from failing that drug test.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't he lose like a big paycheck?
I don't know.
Yeah, he lost in what year? 90, I don't know.
When were they diuretic testing? What years was that, Kamali?
I don't know.
I don't remember Nasser failing.
We need Milos. Milos probably knows every fucking show, and they diuretic tested and everything.
Song.
Oh my God!
Well, the problem,
figurines
Dave,
behind you,
the problem with the diuretic test, I think it had good intentions. It was an unequivocal farce.
Yeah. Well, that's because Wayne was running that whole thing, right?
It was a farce.
It made it more dangerous.
Well, because guys were using stuff that was more dangerous diuretics.
I don't know. King couldn't breathe. I guess that's kind of, you know, pushing the envelope.
Right.
And the point being is that it's a farce in that whether King used something that wasn't on the list that prevented him from breathing properly, I can guarantee you everyone in that show was on diuretics. Oh,
of course. Something they were on.
What do you think?
The Olympia for me, Chris, was the worst in 2001 because if Rope Man wasn't standing close to me, he was literally about 5 feet away from me on stage while preaching going on. He's the one who noticed. He looked at me and he just started literally yelling at me to get off stage, get off the stage, get off the stage. And I couldn't figure out what was going on because I'm like, okay, I'm standing. What's going on? That's when I started seeing black dots coming at me. Once I started seeing the black dots coming at me, I'm like, okay, I'm about to pass out. So I put my hand on the curtain and I just walked with my hand sliding the curtain, making sure I don't fall down in front of the audience at Mandalay Bay on my pro debut, first Olympic. That was scary. Again, because of shit that they were testing.
What was Chad using back in the day for you guys during the diuretic testing era?
Diuretic.
He was using the Diuretic? Okay, yeah. What was in that little packet of powder he was giving you guys? Was that just Demodex?
Yeah, it was Diuretic. But if you ask Sean Ray, it was plasma expanders.
No one even knew what a plasma expander was. It just sounded good. That's
Dave,
all, yeah.
Please tell me, what is a plasma? 25 years later, what the hell is a plasma expander?
It was supposed to draw like fluid out from under the skin into the muscle, yeah, or into the bloodstream. Yeah, that was a plasma expander.
I wish we had plasma expanders. What do we have? We had fucking apple pie filling. That
Well,
made you go up.
But Chad was smart because he let people believe that's what it was. Meanwhile, he was just using diuretics that weren't on the testing list. It was a brilliant like playing posse, possum type of situation.
That right now with my clients, I have a little trick that I play. always tell them that we're going to drop the bumblebees. Yo, and everyone to this day says, "What the fuck are bumblebees?" I'm like, "That's a trade secret." You have to work with me to find out what the bumblebees.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that the diuretic like testing, like Chris said, was well-meaning, but I just don't think it worked. Didn't they test for clenbuterol too, or something like that? Was it clen? And it was clenbuterol and diuretics. But the problem with the clenbuterol was that most guys stopped clenbuterol. You know, you could stop clenbuterol like 48 hours before the test and still pass. And, you know, testing the guys the day of the show is really, you know, it's I guess it's a safety thing more than anything. It's really what they should have done is just took your blood pressure backstage and made sure no one was super low blood pressure was going to pass out.
Dan Duchesne was around then, and he had that Defend product. Remember that?
Yes, it was the same as the Zydot. I think Zydot bought the product from him. You could beat any test with that thing, with that Zydot. The only thing that it didn't block was DECA and Equipoise. So
the good old day.
The good old. Yeah, you know, beating a drug test is like just beating an IQ test. It's like all these guys, you know, take drugs in all these sports, and you know, the guys who get caught are the dummies who just don't know how to do it right. It's like the guys who don't practice their posing before a show, and then they're like, I don't understand why I lost the show. Well, your presentation sucked. I mean, you just had to prepare. Same thing with a drug test. If you prepare to beat the test, you're going to beat the test because you know how to follow all the protocols and stop and start things when you're supposed to.
Yeah, Dave, today was on the news. I don't know if you caught it. There was two football players. One is remember the '85 Chicago
Bears.
Yeah, the quarterback was McMahon, right?
Right. Yeah, Jim McMahon.
Yeah, Jim McMahon was on the news, and you know he said he smoked pot when he played football.
Right.
The interviewer said, "How did you know? How did you beat the test?" He said, "They." I don't know who they is, but you can imagine. He said, "They'd tell me that when they were coming." So
they would use like a blocking agent. You know?
No, whatever.
No, because the marijuana stays in your system, but they would take the
the point is, it goes back to what we were talking about the Olympics like 4 weeks ago when I said, like, come on, dude, everyone's like loaded.
Yep.
Right, King?
I got my first cycle from, I'm not mentioning names, obviously, but from a all-pro defensive end in the NFL.
Really?
Yes, that was my first.
Just give us his last name and we'll speculate on the first name.
I'll just say this. I went to high school with him. I'll just say
that. Well, I remember, you know, when in the mid to 80s, I guess it was late 80s, early 90s, the Jets were like, you know, they had the New York Sack Exchange, all those Mark Gastineau, Marty Lyons, I forget all that. Was it Ed Too Tall Jones? Was he on them? Or no, that was Dallas.
Wave. Ed Too Tall.
No, but they had Joe Klecko. They had all these guys. They were all juiced to the hills. And there was a gym by my house. Greg Buttles who's a New York Jet, owned the gym. It was right down the block of my father's house. So I would go there and train. Those guys were fucking enormous. They were huge. I don't even think anyone cared if you took steroids back then. Good pull, Sid. There they are. Mark Gastineau, number 99. There's Joe Klecko, 73. I think Weinberger was friends with all these guys.
Yeah, he's got the.
Oh, it's Abdul Salam. That's what I forgot. And Marty Lyons. Yeah, those guys were enormous. That's actually an old picture. They were Gastineau got huge after that.
Yeah.
Program.
Oh yes.
And they were, but I don't think anyone even cared back then. There was no drug testing in the NFL. You were almost assumed that you had to do steroids if you wanted to be good. It's funny because now they drug test, but the guys are bigger now than they were back then. And everyone's like, well, it's about weight training. I'm like, I'm sorry. There's guys 6'9", 450 pounds in the NFL. They're not getting that way from fucking just lifting weights, you know?
This same guy that I'm talking to you about?
Yeah.
Pulled me out of third period in high school, my senior. Pulled me out of third period with some bullshit. He would come knock on the door. I was in Trigger. Trigger. And then he would say, yeah, we need Kamali downstairs for something, for a coach wants to see him. And I'm looking at him and I'm shaking my head like, I know what's happening. He would grab me, we would go to the bathroom and he would pull it out. He said, do it.
No, are you serious? How old are you?
I was doing, so I wouldn't do it like this. I would do it like this. Just jam it.
How old were you when you were doing that?
Oh man, Dave, I got to sit down with you one night. We got to smoke cigars. So many I haven't told you guys.
Seriously, what were you, 18, 17?
17.
Wow. Well, you were a freak, though, when you were in the collegiate nationals. I remember that. You were, like, unbelievable at that show.
Thank you. I mean, you're listening. I mean, thank you.
Yes. You had a lot of muscle for that age. How old were you at that show?
20, 21.
Wow. Yeah, you were crazy at that show.
22, something like that. Yeah, just suffering, which is something that these kids don't know how to do anymore.
Yeah. Well, Chris's son is doing teen nationals. What is it, like 8 weeks now, Chris?
Oh God, don't tell me.
How's he looking?
He's at a stalemate.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Is he cheating on the diet?
No, he's in college. You know, he's dieting. He's just sometimes when your body hits the wall.
Yeah.
You know, when he gets home, like,
Him.
Yeah, once he gets home, I'll make him I'll go to the gym with him, even though I never go to the gym.
College should let out soon. That'll help him when he's under your guidance there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when he's here for spring break in a week, he got lean. He dropped like crazy. You know?
It's hard to study, Chris, when you're fucking hungry, man. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, Guru Amin says thank you, King.
Of course, Amin. He taught us all. He taught my nemesis all the secrets.
Oh, Craig? Oh my God. What a crazy crew. Yeah, I can't wait to see your son on stage, Chris. That's gonna be exciting.
Chris, man, I didn't know.
I'll bet you Chris is more nervous than his son is, guaranteed.
No.
Yes, you are.
Nothing in bodybuilding makes me nervous, dude.
No, I'm saying it because it's like you're getting to go on stage again, vicariously through your son. I don't care what you said.
Chris is he's in my book of classics with the classics of all time because I didn't know who Chris was. I just remember being the first Arnold Classic and seeing Laura Pavel hit an abdominal shot, and I went, "What the hell am I doing? What am I doing? What the hell is that?" And mentor Jimmy, rest in peace, sitting next to me, goes, "That's called professional bodybuilding, man. Welcome to." I'm like, holy shit.
Polish.
Well, Laura was the people's champ for sure when she was competing because she never let her beat Lender, but she would win the Arnold Classic every year. So
conditioning.
Yeah.
Conditioning. You know what? I was thinking the other day, King, is you would know or Dave would know. There was no Stairmaster, right? And we lived in California, so people, Aaron Baker and Laura, and they'd go to the Santa Monica stairs
and run those.
You run those, and I would see people lean down by the day who did those stairs. Like if people who I was coaching back then, and when I was living in California, if they couldn't lean down, I'd say, "Go do the stairs." They said, "You run them?" I said, "No. All you do is just walk down. There's a million of them."
Right.
And then all you have to do is double step up. And then all you need to do is 30 minutes. And that workout would destroy.
How many times would you get up the steps in 30 minutes?
I don't know, but I would just have people walk down normally.
Yeah.
And double step it up. Walk down and double step it up. You don't have to go up fast, just double step it up. And those stairs would absolutely peel you out of your mind if you're already dieting hard. No, because there's no stair stepper. They won't even.
No, I know. Chris, I walked up those steps once. I almost fell down the whole flight of steps because they're very short steps, and I have these big fucking feet.
That's why you got to double step them.
I have to double step.
Dave, same thing. Chris, same exact thing. Would make us come to his high-rise building, and we would take 2 steps up, 1 step down 4 times each time, and you felt like dying because the smell. I will never forget the smell of those steps.
Is that the stairs in Georgetown he's talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
He absolutely brutalized us with those freaking stairs.
Who was it?
I mean.
Yeah, it made it. It did the trick, and back then, now it's very standard. Everybody says a shredded glutes. Back then, having shredded glutes was very, special.
Right.
Glad him, and that's how we got him. Running those fucking stairs.
Well, you had one of those metabolisms, though, King. You put muscle on real easy, but to get you lean, you had to torture yourself,
Because I like to eat.
Yeah, no, That's true.
You know, Amin would say have a cheat, or Chad would say have a cheat meal. I would go have 2 large pizzas.
Are you serious? Holy.
Dang, hands to the Bible, man. I would go have 2 large pizzas.
Wow.
And then Chad would be like, I would literally be like this. What do you eat? I'm like, 2 large pizzas. He goes, no, man. He goes, 2 slices. And maybe I'll be like this. I would be like this, eating the slices. Eating and not knowing. I'm telling you, I still have that problem today. If I don't control myself, I'll be 330 pounds. I know it. I know I would be.
You know, it's funny because most guys, and Chris, you probably can attest because you're not a big eater. When you're dieting, you really can't eat that much when you have a cheat meal because your stomach is so shrunken
Some
up.
people can.
King would eat it until the pizza was hanging out of his mouth, like a snake eating a mouse or a rat with the tail hanging out of his mouth. You know.
I took a suitcase full of chocolate down to the Collegiate Nationals. The guy who was looking through my luggage, what the hell is this? I mean, it's a case full of chocolate, man.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I have certain clients that I have to design their cheat meal for them because I know that they will go overboard and do that. And you know what? I don't know if you guys noticed. I find that pizza is a really bad cheat meal. For some reason, guys have a lot of and women have a lot of trouble metabolizing pizza. I always had a problem with that too. It like lays in your stomach for hours and hours and hours. I don't know if it's all the cheese or something. It just doesn't go away quickly. Everything else seems to burn fast, but not pizza, man. You can't overdo pizza. You ate 2 pies. Probably took you 3 days to digest all that.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I'm sure all of us have had this too. Hot girls that fart aren't very sexy. I don't care how hot you are. If you're farting away at a storm, not sexy.
That's a turn on for Valentino. He would disagree with you on that, you know.
But Valentino's not human, okay?
He likes to inhale the farts of women, you know. He says that's an aphrodisiac for him, you know.
He's a Unanakis, one of those things that walked the earth 20 civilizations ago. He's one of their descendants.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, a lot of controversy there. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's Greg with that. See, he was the original Sam Sulek before there was the internet. You know, people don't realize that.
Sam Sulek, Carrot Top, man.
Yeah, King, we got a $20 tip because of you just now. He said it was 1990 or 2000. I ran into King at Newport Mall in New Jersey City. He let me run across the mall to buy a disposable camera just to take a picture with him. I was 14 and super excited. That's awesome. Great story.
Good memories.
See, King really wasn't a dick to everyone. He was a nice guy.
I was always
only to Craig Titus.
Only to Craig Titus, he was an ass. Now, King you were miserable at shows. You were not in good moods at shows.
No, because I suffered so much. You know, the reason why is because I have to tell you in Georgia. I want you to call me doctor. I am Dr. Barrett. I have prescription. I can't. George, I love you, man. I love you.
We love George, yeah. Tell Chris what I sent you a picture of when I was in the supermarket the other day.
You need to tell Chris how many times I call you up and you say like I silence for 5 seconds because I'm trying to not laugh, and I do George, and then Dave starts literally crying.
Yeah, because he always gets me like in places where I'm like in the supermarket. So I
tells me, King.
I sent him a picture of Sumatran coffee.
Yes, you must go to Sumatra, the mountains of Sumatra. Find the monkey. Extract the juice from the ball.
we you know what? We really have a group of guys that we grew up with. You know, what are we going on now? Like since 30 years in this industry together. I mean, between you, me, you know, Chris, George, Jay. I mean, 30 years we've been in this industry. You know, and I mean, and we're all still, luckily, knock on wood, we're all still here, and we're still cracking jokes. And I mean, the stories that went on are classics, some classic stories. So I really cherish those memories, you know, and I don't know if you remember, King. You know, we hung out with you and me and Jason Arntz, you know, back in the day, and we had some good. It was always going someplace to eat. If you ever notice that, Chris? Whenever you're with a bodybuilder, every memory is like in a food establishment someplace. At least one establishment, probably multiple establishments. But
Yeah.
we would just go eat from place to place. It was great.
Good days and things just not the same. I'm sorry, everybody. All these kids now. You guys always you're always talking about how you had it better. We did. Sorry.
Because there was nothing else to do, King. We couldn't communicate any other way. If we didn't see each other, you didn't communicate. There was no cell phones. There was no social media. There was no texting. We had beepers.
Dave, it's like the Instagram reel I just sent you with all the old day stuff.
Yes. Yeah, Chris sent me this reel. It shows you what wasn't around then, and then they show you what was around. They write no Uber, and then there's like a station wagon because there was always someone's mom who had a station wagon that would drive you around, right, drop you off places.
I would say the greatest thing that we have that they have now that we didn't, which would be GPS. That's it. That is much because I cannot even imagine.
Yeah, they had. You know what, Kate? One of the things he sent me was someone in the car with the map open. You remember you had the map open trying to figure out. My father was the worst with directions. It would be fights constantly about the map, and he couldn't read maps, and it was terrible.
Well, Dave, how many times when you were a kid, like or a teenager or something, or even younger, I remember near my house riding my bike once, so I was probably like 10, and like a family pulled over and said, hey, you know where the Portland Hospital is?
Yeah.
And I'm like 8 or 9 years old. I'm giving them directions. Here, 2 lights.
No,
take
but
left. You're gonna see something. You know.
Yeah.
Take
People
right.
would give directions though, Chris. If you remember, like at the football, whatever they would. At the White House with the swastika on it, you're gonna make a left, and then at the Dairy Queen with the broken window, you'll make a right. That's how you found places. There was no other way to get to anything.
There's so many different things that we can talk about how much better we had it. Even the cops were better than the. I remember walking to the sound. I mean, you've heard a million Sound Factory stories.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is we're walking past the security to go, the big wall to get to the entrance, and there's the undercovers all standing there, and they're supposed to, try to bait you to buy, ecstasy or something. When they would see us, they would say, "Andro, Becca." I'm like, are you kidding me? And then the cop would start laughing and just like tap me on the shoulder and just say, "Get out of here."
Funny.
Oh, and it's all, we got them all.
Yeah. Meanwhile, all the cops back then were probably on all that stuff too.
They're huge. All of them, jacked to the gills.
There was no drug testing. The cops are huge. Exactly. They were monsters. So.
I miss that New York. New York.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us today, guys. And if you have any input on who might be the best bodybuilder or the most impressive at next week's or this weekend's coming Pittsburgh Pro, put them in the comments below. I think Nick Walker is going to just overwhelm everyone. I don't think anyone's going to be more impressive than him because of the conditioning he's going to bring to that guest posing. But you never know. There could be a big freak like Andrew Jack there, or a big Ramy might impress. I'm going with Nick Walker. You want to make a guess, King Kamali? Most impressive in Pittsburgh?
Nick Walker and Ramy. Those are and Andrew. I think Andrew.
You can't pick 3 people. Pick one person.
Nick.
Chris?
Well, I think Ramy, because oddly enough, people expect him to be like, this. The expectation is so oddly low, which is so weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's more expectations for Mike Tyson fighting coming up.
You're right. But you know what?
I mean? People think Mike Tyson is like, oh, he's back to his heyday, and Ramy's like 40 years old, and they're like, oh, he's washed up.
But do you think that it's a factor of the fact that we're just too used to seeing Ramy and we're not that impressed anymore because we've seen him too much?
No, the problem is that social media fans don't have the eyeballs to accurately even judge what's right in front of them. So Ramy will look gigantic,
Right.
And 9 out of 10 people will say, oh, dents in the quads. And if they're not there, they'll say they'll be there. Or if his tricep is small, they'll say the tricep is small, even though,
Right.
you know, or if the tricep is fine, they'll say, wait till he diets down. Or, you know, the amount of fraudulent criticism
Right.
is a combination of ignorance and swimming in juvenile amateur viewing. It just I can't even put a label on it, because only in this sport can people be so successful and be so overly criticized, wherein you know, it's because in football you would have nobody from the audience tearing apart the team that just lost by 3 points or 25 points, you know, or in NBA basketball. But in bodybuilding, not only will you get criticism, but the people making the criticism will say, you know, all he really needs to do is one-arm tricep pushdowns to he'll give you the advice on how to fix things. It's just stunning.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what do I expect? I would think that because the expectations are so oddly low for Ramy that you know, to us three will be impressed, but probably people reviewing it online won't be impressed with them, which is, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just an observation of the awkwardness of fans who dub themselves experts.
Yeah. Well, Sid's going to be over there for us for the show. So we'll be getting up that footage as quickly as we possibly can from that guest posing. So you check out the RxMuscle Instagram and the RxMuscle YouTube channel immediately following the guest posing, and you'll see the footage, and we'll be able to start critiquing. And next week on the show, I'm sure Sunday night, we'll be giving our opinions as to who was the best and the most impressive at the Pittsburgh Pro. For now, we're out of time.
Hold on, Dave.
Okay.
The only mistake they're making in Pittsburgh is not charging for a pay-per-view for it, because I would watch it.
Yeah.
Just the guest posing part, $4.99.
Yeah, I think Jim Mannion wants everyone, you know, just to,
I guess we'll be able to see it somewhere. They'll probably broadcast it. You know, they'll put a.
It'll be up. Sid will have it up seconds after it goes up there. So I promise you that. Check it out at the RxMuscle Instagram. That will be up where we see it first, and then we will have a full accounting on the RxMuscle YouTube channel. We are out of time, Chris, and I'm going to turn into a pumpkin, so I got to get out of here. As we say every week, thank you, first of all, King Kamali, for joining us. And as we say every week with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
You got it, Chris. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, King.
Peace.